Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to another video tutorial today. The topic is finding a percent of a number. So if you haven't yet, get out your pencil or pen and your composition book. Let's take some notes. So we're going to work on finding a percent of a number, and there's really three types of questions that can be asked that involves finding percents of a number. One kind of question is asking what is 20% of 80? The second question would be 16 is what percent of 80? And the third question is 16 is 20% of what? Okay, all three questions has to do with finding percents of numbers. It's very simple solving these kind of problems as long as you write it in this kind of format, which is a proportion. So you write it as your is to your of equals your percent out of 100. Okay, so I just said it a lot. Why don't you press pause, take down these notes, and then we'll go over this. Okay? All right, so hopefully you press pause. We're going to go over this information now. So you should always write on any of these kind of questions. The very first thing you should write is like a bar equals a bar, and then write it over 100. And again, you're trying to find the is, the of, and the percent. So let's look at the very first question right here. Okay. So this first question, it says, what is 20% of 80? So let's fill in the parts. What is? Okay, we're back. It says, what is 20% of 80? So you already know the 20%, because this is your percent part. You already know 20 out of 100, because remember, percents are out of 100, of 80. So we know the of. We know the of is 80. What we don't know is the what is part. You see where it says what is? It says what is. That's the unknown. But once we set it up as a proportion, it now becomes pretty easy to solve. The easiest way of solving this now is just doing the butterfly. So we cross multiply this way, and we cross multiply this way. So we have 100 times t, which is just 100 times t, equals 20 times 80, which is just 1600. And now we're just going to eliminate this 100 times t. Well, what's the opposite of multiplying by 100? Dividing. So now divide by 100 and divide by 100. Well, you know from the jump around, if you divide by 100, 1, 2, move the decimal to the left. So we're moving the decimal to the left, or you just get 16. So what does that mean? What is 20% of 80? Well, that is 16. So 16 out of 80 equals 20 out of 100. And we can figure out if this is true or not by just butterflying. If I multiply this way, I get 1600. If I multiply this way, I will also get 1600. So 16 out of 80 equals 20 out of 100. So 16 of 80 is 20%. Okay? So let's look at this again. What if the question says 16, now this time it's a little worded differently, but it says 16 is what percent of 80? So again, the very first thing you want to do is you're trying to fill in this part right here. You're trying to fill in this part, okay? You're trying to fill in your is to your of equals your percent out of 100. So let's look at this. 16 is, okay, we know the is. There's your is. 16 is what percent of 80? We know the of is 80. What we don't know is this, the percent. We don't know the percent. See, we're saying what percent? Okay, but we now have a proportion. And we can, now once we have this, you just butterfly. Okay? So we're going to multiply this way, which is 80t, and multiply this way, which is 1600. And so now we just say 80 times what is 1600? We'll divide by 80. Divide by 80. Remember, you can cancel a 0 with a 0. And so t, if you divide 8 into 16, you get 2. And 8 goes into 0, you have a 0. So t is 20. So what does that mean? Again, we're saying 16 out of 80 equals 20 out of 100. And we can check to see if this is correct by butterflying again. We get 1600 and 1600. One more time, let's just do this one more time. So, here, in this problem, it says 16 is 20% of what number? Okay, so let's just fill this information in. We're just trying to fill this information in. It says 16 is, so that is your is. That's your is. It says 20%. Well, you know your percent then is 20. What we don't know is the of what? So that's the unknown. But once we have this proportion, again, it's really easy. Just butterfly now. Just cross multiply. You can multiply this way, and you'll get 20 times t. You can multiply this way, and you get 1600. And then you'll divide by 20, and divide by 20, and then you're gonna get t is 80. And so again, all we're saying is 16 out of 80 equals 20 out of 100, okay? And we can butterfly again to see if they do equal, and we'll get 1600 again. So let's just try one. I want you guys to do a practice one. So this one says, what is 72% of 54? So again, how I would solve this is the very first thing I would do is I would do my little box equals box, okay? And remember, we want is and we want of. So we know this is 100 because percents are always out of 100. We know the percent is 72. Okay, so we've got this portion and this portion done. It says of 54, so the 54 would be here. The is what we don't know, and that is your t. And now we just solve butterfly and butterfly. So you guys press pause and try this one. What is 15% of 180? Same kind of question. Look at what I did here if you need reference. Press pause and solve this. Okay, welcome back. We're gonna go over this one tomorrow in class. Look at the next problem. Again, this one says 11 is 20%, 22% of what number? So the very first thing I would do is I would just write down a little bar equals bar. And then you know this is 100. It tells you the percent is 22. It says 11 is. So 11 is your is, right? Your of what number is what we don't know. So now we just cross multiply. We do butterfly and butterfly, and then we solve, okay? So the next one, you guys try this problem. Press pause, but it says 48 is 75% of what number? It's very similar to this question. Press pause and solve. And then welcome back, and we're gonna go over this question again tomorrow. And then the last question, I'm not gonna set this up again, but this one says, what percent of 60 is 25? So I'm gonna give you a similar question. You guys try this one. What percent of 72 is 54? Is 54. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. So tomorrow we're gonna go over those three problems, this one and the other two, and we're gonna just talk about it. Again, you're finding percent of numbers. If as long as you can remember to write is to of equals percent out of 100, these problems are easy. Just set them up as a proportion, cross multiply like a butterfly, and you got this. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.